Hello and welcome to Crypto Insights, where we teach you about crypto. My name is Thomas and I'm the host of this channel. In this video, I'll show you an interview that I had with Rafael Parreira. Rafael Parreira is the solicitor that was involved in the first crypto real estate transaction in Portugal. Rafael is located in Leiria, which is a little bit above Lisbon, and he will show you the ins and outs of this process. He will also tell you the struggles and the things that you have to think about if you are interested yourself to buy property with crypto in Portugal. So with all of that said, let's jump into this week's video. Hey Rafael, so thank you for joining the call. Today we're going to talk about crypto and property in Portugal. Could you give a brief introduction about yourself?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for the invite. It's really nice to be here talking to you about this subject. It's a new subject in Portugal, and it's really nice to talk about this. My name is Rafael Parreira. I'm a partner in P&A Solicitors. We are a solicitors firm, and we have our head office in Leiria. It's in the center of Portugal, and yeah, we are working with a lot of people in the real estate area, and of course the cryptocurrencies were something big for us, because if you don't know about something, you need to try to understand. And that's what we did here.
Exactly. And you were involved in the first crypto transaction of estate in Portugal.
Yeah, we did a transaction not as a buyer or seller. In Portugal, as you know, we have in any real estate transaction, you have a third party, which is a professional, a notary, a solicitor, or a lawyer. You can make a real estate transaction by a public deed or a private authenticated document. It's different, but legally it has the same value. And in our case, we are solicitors, so we don't make public deeds, we make private authenticated documents. We made a private authenticated document here in the office, where we made the trade between a rustic land and BNB, and it was the first real estate transaction in Portugal, and I don't know if it was in Europe, but in Portugal it was. There was another transaction, sure you heard about it, everyone heard about it, in Braga. It was a really important transaction, no doubt about that. A bigger transaction. It was not a resting land, it was an apartment. It was not a small transaction. It was the equivalent to 110.
It was 3 Bitcoin. It was 3 Bitcoin.
Yeah, 3 Bitcoin. That's easier. And it was a bigger transaction. Of course, it was noticed by the social, the media and the televisions as the first real estate transaction. That's normal. It was an information mistake. That's not the most important. The most important is now you have 2 transactions to tell the world in Portugal. We made this first one with the rustic land, and they did a second one with an apartment, the first one with an apartment, and it was a public deed, not a private authenticated document. So now you have 2 completely different real estate transactions in Portugal to show the world we can do it here.
And about your transaction, so how did it come together? Like, was it your idea, like, hey, I really want to be involved, or was it the buyer and the seller that said, like, hey, let's do a crypto transactions? Why BNB? Could you tell us a little bit about that?
It was just normal. We were giving some formation in real estate at one night with one class of our partner, one real estate investor that has 30, 40 students in each class. and we were talking about real estate. Someone asked about cryptocurrencies in real estate, and we start talking about that. They asked us if we were about to make the first one. We told them no, because no one asked about this. And our partner, which is Ricardo Matos, is the one with the video in YouTube, said, okay, maybe I'll be the first. And it was just natural. We found the interest in Ricardo. We found another part to be part of these transactions. They wanted to trade rustic land. We were prepared to make the private authenticated document, let's say public deed, to easy the things. And it was natural. It was prepared, but natural.
And why BNB? Why not Bitcoin? Why not Ethereum? Is it because of the transaction fees, or was it recommended by the buyer or the seller?
The buyer and the seller, they invest in crypto, and they work a lot with BNB, and that was the reason. Of course, we talked about Ethereum and Bitcoin, but we knew we were doing something different. And I think not in our conscious, but unconsciously, I think we thought, okay, let's not use something much popular. Let's be different in everything. Yes. that's why it was natural also. We don't think a lot about that.
And just also, it says a lot about your character. Like, did you prepare for the transaction? Did you think like, is this something for me? Or were you more like, let's do it and let's see what happens?
Yeah, it's important to say that this transaction was a test to the public authorities. So the value was really reduced. It was less than 1,000 euros, just to have some notion about this. Of course, we prepared about this. We studied about this. We had a lot of articles to read. We had a lot of work here, but the main ingredient here was have the courage to make it, because technically it wasn't pretty different from all the other transactions we had. The difference is, normally you say, okay, this seller will sell this transaction, this real estate property, and will receive 50,000 euro. In this case, we say, okay, this seller, which is not a seller, is an intervenient, because in this case, it was not a purchase, it was not buy and sell. It was a trading, which is different. They traded rustic land with BNB. And it was normal for us. It was a document, and we prepared, of course, to make everything legally. But the fact, the value equivalent to the cryptocurrency that we used here is low. The fact is low. Was really important because we were not concerned about AML questions, and that's important.
And AML, just to give a brief description for the viewers.
Anti-money laundering.
Yes, for anti-money laundering. And something that I wanted to clarify, because you spoke over it very quickly, and for people that are new into the industry, they don't really get that. So this transaction was a transaction between one asset and another asset, and not one asset and a currency. So the rules that apply are different. So since we were talking about that, have you ever been involved in a property that was sold for diamonds, that was sold for art, that was sold for cars? Have you ever been involved in another trade like that?
I've never been involved, but I already saw some transactions like that, where you make a trade between real estate property and gold, for example. Diamonds I never saw, but I already saw a transaction between a house and a car, for example.
Okay.
And it's the same. You make the trade between an asset and another asset. In this case, property and real estate and crypto assets. But it's not buying, okay? In Portugal, to buy something, you need to pay. And the concept of payment is related to euros. You need to have a notarized way of payments, and cryptocurrencies are not recognized by our Portugal National Bank. And that's why you can't pay something with cryptocurrencies. You can trade cryptocurrencies as an asset with real estate, with what you want.
And could you give a brief description of like the process? Because on the one side, it's obviously with a normal purchase or with a normal contract, it's this IBAN is going to pay to this IBAN, and now this wallet is going to pay to this public key. So could you give us a brief description of the process? Like what is so different versus a normal contract or a normal process?
The transaction, it's not so different, because we need to be careful about the crypto assets, because as you know, there's a lot of judgment about crypto assets related to money laundering. And in this case, we need to be really careful, and we need to make the proof of funds, we need to see all of this, but in the document, it's not much different. What we say is we will trade this property with 3 Bitcoins, and the delivery of the Bitcoins is made between the transfer from this wallet to this wallet. So technically, in the document, it's not much different. The bigger difference is on the AML compliance, because, of course, there's a lot of possibilities with crypto assets, as you know, and the probability to have an illegal transaction is bigger when you don't know the origin of the asset you have. And if the asset is something you control, for example, it's not an asset, it's a way of payment, but euros, you can minimum make the trading. Okay, you can see where it comes from, if it is a national bank, a Spanish bank, a French bank, it doesn't matter, you can see this. With crypto assets, it's a little bit different. So I would say the AML compliance is the biggest difference here from the other transactions.
So the hardest part is actually, so if there's any viewers that are interested that have, I don't know, 5 to 10 Bitcoin in their wallets and think like, hey, in Portugal, we can buy property with it. It seems very easy, but as you said, that person, the buyer, has to prove where the Bitcoin comes from. When was it bought? When was it sold? Against what value? And for example, how is that if he currently has Bitcoin, he converts it in the exchange to euro, and then the same day he buys it back to Bitcoin? Can he then show that transaction as this is the original value?
In that case, the problem here is not the origin of it's not just the origin of the funds. It's all the way they did until the funds you have now, because now you will pay in 3 Bitcoins, but before it was some Ethereum or some BNB, and all the way until the crypto assets you are about to put on the transaction is relevant to the real estate transaction. It's not just the moment you paid. Of course, if you withdraw and you now have 30,000 euro and then you buy a Bitcoin, for example, of course, when we try to investigate the origin of that Bitcoin, what we see is you buy that Bitcoin when you put 30,000 euro on the platform. But here, that's a technical detail that I don't. It's not my specialty. Okay, I'm a legal advisor, but I know that when you have some AML compliance strategy in the office, you need to make sure that you are not providing to your clients the possibility to make an illegal transaction.
So it seems that we can conclude that the way you have to describe your funds needs to be so basic that even somebody that doesn't have crypto knowledge, so that doesn't know what is staking or DeFi, can understand it. And that makes it actually very difficult. So then we can also conclude, as you stated before we started this call, that until 3,000 euro cash, you don't have to declare it, you don't have to show it. So buying something in crypto until 3,000 euro value, it's easy. Everything above, it's complicated because you have to prove the origins completely to the base.
Our decision. We had a meeting with our partners, and we asked them, is this interesting? Is this relevant? Are we making any mistake here? And what they told us is, no, you are thinking right. You must have some levels to make your compliance strategy. And that's what we established here. We have this rule. It doesn't mean if you go to another office, they say, no, if you want to buy anything with cryptocurrency, you need to have a full report with all the proof of funds and all the way the funds had until now. It will depend on each office. In the case of notaries, we still don't know the content of this internal procedure because it's not published now. It will be in the next few weeks, I'm sure. But that internal procedure will show you the way all the notaries will work in this case. We don't have that internal procedure, so we established our own strategy. Right. Other offices will have their own strategy, and most of the offices don't know how to work in this. And that's why when you make a transaction like this, as you said, everyone needs to understand the proof of funds. So
what you say is the solicitor needs to approve it, and the Portuguese bank needs to approve it.
No, the Portuguese bank doesn't need to approve it because indeed you don't need to have the bank involved here, okay? Because you have your crypto wallet. Imagine you are the buyer.
But who's doing the anti-money laundering then?
We are. For example, because you need me to make the real estate transaction.
Okay.
Because I'm responsible for the public deed, in my case, the private authenticated document. So if I refuse to make the private authenticated document, you can't do the transaction. Of course, if you go to another office, you will do it, no problem, okay? And I hope that office will have the same understanding than me. All the public deeds, as the name shows, and even the private authenticated documents are public, so the authorities will know you sell your property for 3 Bitcoins. And the bank doesn't know about that unless you put the 3 Bitcoins in your bank. You have 2 options, or you make the conversion in euros to make the deposit in the bank, or your bank already allows to have the deposit in crypto. That's the only way that the bank is related here. But of course, everything, in my opinion, everything is transparent, everything is clear, because if you show with your public deed, you show, okay, I sell this house, I receive 3 Bitcoin, but everything is declared. Why? Because when you sell the house, we still need to give a value in euros to that transaction. It's impossible to not do this. If you are selling for 2 Bitcoins, we still need to say, I don't know, how much is the Bitcoin now?
20,000 more or less, yeah.
Okay, 20. So if you say you are selling your property for 2 Bitcoins, you still need to put on the public deed or the private authenticated document that the value you give to that transaction is 40,000 euros.
Yes, why? So you always have to notify the equivalent in euros in the transaction.
Yeah, why? Because of the taxes. When you buy some land in Portugal, some property, you need to pay the value, the value related to that transaction. So if you go to finance service and you say, I'm about to buy a house for 3 Bitcoin, they don't know what's it.
No, exactly.
They'll not go to CoinMarketCap to know how much is it. So you need to say, I'll buy a house, I will pay with Bitcoin, but the value we will establish in this transaction is 100,000 or 50,000, it doesn't matter. Because you need to pay tax, which is IMT. IMT, one tax you pay when you buy a house, about a house or a land, and also the seal tax.
Yes, the seal tax, yeah. So we can actually conclude that we actually hope that there is more transactions taking place that give more clarity, that maybe also puts rules in place. So people that have untransparent origin of their cryptos can also purchase houses, and they can actually use where we want crypto to be used for, which is to do transactions, not only as an investment asset. Is there any last words that you would like to say?
No, I have the same hope. I really hope to have thousands of cryptocurrency transactions in real estate market in Portugal, because that means we are evolving. We are giving some space to imagine what we can do with this new asset. But more than that, I hope that every professional, since the real estate agencies to legal professionals like us, to the accountants and everyone, are prepared to look at these transactions and say, okay, I'm prepared to do this. Count on me, because I'll be part of this. And I hope really that that can happen. We have our own strategy, so we are prepared to do it. I know there's a lot of big offices in Portugal prepared to do it also. And I think this is not the future, but the present.
Yes. Well, thank you for your last words, Rafael. I will leave your details below. If people want to know more about you, they will reach out. And maybe if there's some updates, we can have a call in the future.
Yeah, of course. Thank you so much again. Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.